Hi, everybody. Welcome back to part 2 of Coco Chanel. If you didn't catch part 1, you should probably do that, or a lot of this will seem to not make sense.
Sweaty, it's no surprise that everyone celebrated your demise, and now worms are eating your eyes. So don't you worry your rotting head as you sleep in your sodden bed. It's time to respect the dead.
I'm Hoots.
I'm Kellen.
And I'm Mandy.
And where we left off, Coco had just split up with her lover of 10 years, Bendor, Duke of Westminster. I keep wanting to say Windsor. By throwing an emerald in the ocean.
Yeah.
Like a petty rose from Titanic.
Yes,
Okay,
I love it.
It kind of bothers me because, like, take it, sell it, use the money for something useful. Like throwing, like I do stand throwing it in the ocean, but like maybe get a fake made and throw that in the ocean in front of him.
Right, you do like a little hand swap and be like,
yeah, some sleight of hand.
Yeah.
So sometime after her affair with Bendor, Coco took up with the French illustrator Paul Iribe, who was also a strident anti-Semite, prone to raging fits about the Jews. He and Coco would often express their disgust at French Jewish labor organizer Leon Blum, and Chanel financed Iribe's ultranationalist conservative magazine Le Témoin. I'm going to show you a link to some of his illustrations in the magazine.
Oh, I bet these are gonna...
Yeah, these are not gonna be good.
This is gonna look like art inside of a Harry Potter novel, isn't it?
They're not all as bad as you think they're going to be. They're very striking. Some of them are as bad as you think they're going to be, though.
Oh my god.
Oh.
What's her neck that long? Why does everybody draw her with this long ass neck?
She had a pretty long neck. I'll include some of these images on the Instagram. Normally, I think we only post like 4, but...
Oh.
The one where she's whispering, pointing, and then there's like the hammer and sickle, like off the
she's
water.
Like,
I'm like, I kind of love this image, but I don't want to like download it and put it on a t-shirt if it's anti-Semitic.
I think it is. I think it is anti-Semitic.
Okay.
But she's whispering to, like, I guess part of France, unless that's an actual guy. I can't quite tell. So he drew, like, she's supposed to be the spirit of France, Marianne, but he based her off of Coco. So she's meant to look like Coco.
Oh,
and
okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I know we were shitting on that political cartoon guy, but like I need more labels.
Right?
I need more labels on these political cartoons.
There's definitely a very racist depiction of a Chinese man on the cover of one of these. Yeah.
I just scrolled
right
down.
You just got to that one? Yeah. It's bad. The pictures that aren't like explicitly racist, like, are very like cool illustrations.
No, like
he was very talented.
The art is very striking.
Mm-hmm. It's very good propaganda.
For like the first couple, and then you scroll down and it just keeps
and
getting
you're like,
worse
oh
and
no,
worse and
yeah,
worse.
oh no,
and you go like, oh, that's not what you should draw. Please don't.
Oh, that's not what you should draw.
Yeah, please don't do that. In 1935, Iribe would suffer a heart attack while playing a game of tennis at Coco's Villa La Posa, and he died, and she watched him die. That was another event.
He was like, call the ambulance, and she was like, absolutely not, cutie.
No, I think she was very upset about it. Like, relating to like the death of her other lover who died in a heart attack. It died in a car crash.
She was triggered.
This is like another thing that she like relates to later and said was horrible. It is horrible to like watch somebody have a heart attack and die right in front of you.
I would think so, yes.
Yeah, that's scary.
So she was very scarred by that. By 1936, the Chanel brand employed thousands of workers, many of them young women. And in May of that year, over 4,000 Chanel workers in Paris participated in lockout protests in favor of better wages and benefits. Coco, of course, blamed the Bolsheviks and the Jews for corrupting the minds of the young women working for her.
Oh my God.
Tale
The
as old
reason
as
why
time.
these people are striking is because of the Jews. Not
Every
because of
rich
anything that I did
person.
wrong. Yeah.
Just like, I'm getting flashbacks to Henry
They just
Ford.
don't want, people just don't want to work anymore.
People just don't want to work for nothing anymore. So much for the tolerant oppressed.
So she did declare that if her employees wanted socialism, she'd give them socialism. And she offered to sign over. She offered to sign over her company to her workers under the condition that they elect her supervisor and allow her to make all the company decisions. Just
So
like,
isn't that the same?
close, honey. You're close, but no.
So isn't that still the same thing that she was already doing?
Basically, I guess like that offer probably would have given them stock.
Yeah, they would have access to profits, I guess.
Yeah,
instead.
it would have given them
But, like,
stock in the
but
company.
she's
Would
still
they?
in
Because
charge.
her
like-
decision could be, you have no access to the profits.
Yeah.
Right.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
she could be like, you're equal owners. And as equal owners, I've drafted the equal owner contract,
Mhm.
which states that you are actually making less money than you did before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they refused. They refused, but they got their higher wages and better working conditions.
We love that for
Good.
them.
Yeah. At
Like,
the start
rip
of
off that Nazi bitch.
Well, at the start of the Second World War in 1939, Chanel shuttered her business, declaring that it was not a time for fashion. Chanel biographer Hal Vaughan speculated that closing her atelier shop was partially retaliatory, as the same 4,000 workers who went on strike 3 years earlier lost all their jobs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
As they got further into the war, like, more fashion houses did close, but at first, like, it was a big shock that she just war was declared and she was like, well, we're closing shop. We're not, fashion is over. Fashion is dead. It was definitely just her being a petty asshole.
I'm done, so fashion is dead.
As we might remember from history class, by June of 1940, the Germans marched into France and installed the Vichy puppet government headed by Marshal Philippe Pétain. Days before the Nazis made it to Paris, Pierre Wertheimer, the businessman who, with his brother, owned 75% of Chanel No. 5, fled to New York because the Wertheimers were Jewish. Before fleeing to the States, Pierre Wertheimer transferred Parfums Chanel and another perfume business he owned to an Aryan French businessman named Félix Amiot in order to prevent the business from being confiscated by the Nazis under the Aryanization laws. Coco, meanwhile, petitioned high-ranking Nazis and members of the Vichy government to return her business to her under Aryanization laws. She was like, these Jews screwed me.
She's like, I'm with you, bestie.
Yeah. So I would like to own that 75% of the company again. Amiot, who's like, I don't know a lot about him, but he sounds like a complicated character because he also was like collaborating somewhat, but he was also like helping Jewish people. Sounds like a complicated guy. He produced forged documents of the sale to him. And Hitler ruled in his favor. Amiot was a collaborator who manufactured aircraft for the Third Reich, so a lot of historians think it basically came down to perfumes or planes, and planes won out.
Yeah.
Chanel maintained her apartments in 31 Rue Cambon, but during the German occupation, she took up residence at the Hotel Ritz, which also happened to be the preferred place of residence for higher-ranking German officials during the French occupation. Shortly after the beginning of the German occupation of France, Coco met a handsome German officer named Colonel Hans Gunther von Dinklage. He's back, guys! He's von
back.
Dinklage!
Welcome back, Dinklage.
Dinky man!
We had him on ice, and now we're
Dink.
ready to bring him out.
We actually, like, I can't wait till we have like a real live show, like on stage. And like halfway through the
Yeah.
stage, we're like, and guess what? The body's here with us today. And we like drag out like the exhumed corpse of Jesus fucking Christ or something.
Jesus fucking Christ. Looks surprisingly well.
Can you imagine us like kicking over a coffin, like just like it rolls down the stairs and out just pops up a body?
Right. So instead of
We pull out a couple of chicken bones.
So instead of having like some sexy like Undertaker orderly vibe, where like three gorgeous men like bring out the metal like wheelie cart
Gurney?
that they keep corpses on.
like some
Instead,
Chippendales.
we've had a coffin on stage in front of us the entire time that everyone thought was just a prop, but then halfway through we all kick it and it falls over and a literal fucking
An actual corpse comes out.
The sticky fucking corpse.
It's about to
iconic.
goo as it's like
Rolling
coming
out
out
of
of the eye as it like the puddle gets closer and closer to the first row.
If this
Okay,
is what
do you
I
know
get
how-
canceled for.
Do you know how fucking metal that would be?
It'd be so metal. It'd be
I'm
amazing.
sorry. Like, we're gonna have to figure out how to make a fake corpse that we can kick out of a coffin.
Yeah,
Or how to get a real corpse and not get in trouble.
Not somebody donating their body to our podcast.
That's the highest tier. That will make we'll make a new tier. That's like
If
No,
you give us
tier.
$1,000 a month.
Show your corpse.
It is a
to a bunch of
$0
people.
tier, but we do get your body. It's like Scientology's million-year pledge.
Oh no.
Right. Like I'm just imagining someone going to our Patreon page and you're like, it's weird. There's a $50 tier. And then there's a you donate your body to us when you're dead tier.
I don't think Patreon lets you do that.
I didn't know
It's
that was
the
a
power
thing.
of attorney tier.
Executives of Patreon. We have demands.
Back in 1933, von
All right.
Dinklage had been called to the German embassy in Paris and was ordered by Hitler to work as a propagandist and spy for the Gestapo. Von Dinklage, sometimes known as Spatz or Sparrow, was an excellent choice for a spy. His mother was a German woman who had been naturalized as an English citizen, and his wife, Maximilian Henriette Ida von Schönebeck, claimed partial Jewish heritage through her mother. So the two would often travel throughout France, claiming to be the part English, part Jewish refugees of Hitler's Germany.
Yeah.
While they were spying for the Nazis. Prior to the declassification of French intelligence documents in the 1970s, Coco, those close to her, and the Chanel brand would use this English defense to distance her from the actions of Spatz during the war. Coco and Spatz exclusively spoke English when together, which lent Coco kind of an air of deniability later on, because she would be like, well, he's not German, he's English. And we say, with German parents.
I like how you slipped into German there.
My French and my German accents are very close.
Yeah, you went from like high as fuck Coco Chanel to like sissy boy
Yeah.
Hitler.
Yeah, because you've done your Hitler impression.
Those
a
accents
few
are not
times.
very far off. It's hard.
Like,
I slip
we
from
did
one to the
the-
other. It's
We did the Henry Ford episode. Yeah.
Yes.
You did the Hitler voice. It sounds very similar now. Yeah.
It's like the way a lot of people, when they try to do a
Ooh.
Welsh accent, accidentally slip
Yeah.
into like Indian. I go from high French person to gay German person very easily. While the majority of France and the Low Countries starved under war rationing, Coco, Spatz, and Coco's high society friends like Jean Cocteau and Misia Cert ate multi-course meals and attended fancy parties with high-ranking members of the Nazi Party and the Vichy government. And here is a picture of Coco on her balcony at the Ritz. Still looking fucking great at almost 60. It's horrible.
Did they have the sun back then? Like, where was she?
Yeah, and actually, she was famous for popularizing sun tanning. Like, this woman did not take care of her skin. She just had really good
Do
genes.
you know why? This is pre-climate change, it must be.
Yeah, the sun wasn't as
There
harsh.
weren't so many holes in our ozone.
I mean, the lighting isn't great. She might still have some fine lines.
She looks fucking amazing.
It's a great picture of her, though.
She looks like Angelina, like 20 years
She looks
ago.
so
yeah,
hot.
I love that picture.
Yeah, she does.
Damn it. I hate how much I like her sometimes. I really do.
She's so pretty. God,
Yeah.
she's also like, again, she's not like living like a nun and taking care of her skin like some of these celebrities these days who look like they're 30 when they're in their 50s. Like, this woman is doing morphine every fucking night. She's smoking like a chimney.
Like she barely,
she's tanning.
she didn't have microdermabrasion. She wasn't doing like micro needling or whatever the fuck. Like,
absolutely not.
She was just.
She wasn't getting
Right.
injections.
We need to like dig her up, get a sample of her DNA, and figure out if we can use it. No, maybe we don't use Nazi DNA in skincare products. Like now that I think about it, I could tell.
I think that's the only ethical use of Nazi DNA.
I just feel like just because we can, should we?
Certainly, it's better than like all the. Certainly better than all the storylines that involve like Nazi clones or something.
Yeah,
so.
there's a lot of clones.
As early as 1941, Coco Chanel became known by or began working with Chief of SS Intelligence Walter Schellenberg. Her Abwehr spy number was 7124, and her code name was Westminster, after her former lover, the Duke of Westminster. So the spy number is something that has also been the subject of some dispute among historians and activists, and has received some pushback from the Chanel brand because some spies of the Abwehr were actually not aware that they were spies or had numbers. Not everyone providing information to German military intelligence did so with their knowledge or consent. So that was also like a point of like deniability with Coco after the war, and with the brand is like, just because she had a number didn't necessarily mean that
they could have an asset that was utilizing
that she was doing it
her.
intentionally.
Like they like to do that. They like plant people in your life who can use you.
Totally. And that's like,
so that's, I guess that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if the story
like, how does she not know she's a spy? But like, yeah.
Right, like how would you know? Like 007 definitely knows he's a spy, and everyone else does too.
Yeah, if she genuinely thought that Dinklage was an Englishman that she was, or like a half German, half English guy that she was dating, who wasn't involved with the Nazis but escaped Nazi Germany, and he actually was a spy and was providing information, like she would still get a spy number, and there would be records kept of like information that they gathered from her. So that was like a source.
But then like
of,
also she was like, you know who I hate?
Yeah.
Jews.
So they're using her like a
well, there's that too. Okay, to be fair, to like again, like treading the plausible deniability line back then.
Okay.
The Allies hated the Jews too.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't necessarily mean anything. Winston Churchill fucking hated the Jews. And Indians, really hated Indians.
I don't like any of the people in any of these stories we tell.
Everyone was racist back then.
It was so cute at the beginning. She fell so far in my mind. I was like,
now
know,
it's
like,
not. I mean, the U.S. was like, before we entered the war, and I think even after, we were like turning away Jewish people in droves.
Yes, we were.
People like the Wertheimers who escaped to New York only did because they were fabulously wealthy.
Yeah.
And the U.S. is like, oh yes, please bring your business here.
If you're rich, we'll welcome you over. But if you're more of a refugee, like a poor refugee, then we don't want you.
Yeah. Which the Pierre Wertheimer, when he went to New York, he immediately established Chanel No. 5 there in New York and started selling it. Like he immediately established a business. I'm sure that was like part of the conditions of his.
Not all the like wives of the like military
immigration,
officers
probably.
in the U.S. being like, oh my God, we can have Coco Chanel. We can have Chanel No. 5 here. You have to let them in, baby.
We don't have to pay the import fees. Okay, so all that plausible deniability has been laid out. However, in 1943, Coco and Spatz traveled to Berlin to offer Chanel's services as an agent to Heinrich Himmler. Coco pressed her close relationship with Winston Churchill and promised that she could convince Churchill to negotiate a peace with the Nazis. Operation Model Hut, or Operation Model Hat, as it was known, would see Coco travel to Madrid.
Operation Hat Maker.
Do you like that code name?
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Literally.
Like Operation
She was like, hat maker is a slur.
Not the H slur.
Did you say the H slur?
Hat maker von
Mandy?
whore.
That's so good.
I did.
Oh, for hat maker. I thought you meant for a whore.
Yeah.
No, that's what I thought the joke was. I thought there was like 8 levels to it. And it was like, wait,
hat
no,
maker.
hat maker. Operation
I am
whore.
not that clever. I
Hat maker
appreciate
von
it.
whore. Oh god. Okay, go on.
Whore with a capital H.
Operation Model Hat would see Coco travel to Madrid to convince officials at the British Embassy to deliver a letter from Coco to Churchill that alleged that certain high-ranking Nazi officials wanted to remove Hitler from power and end the war with Britain. Operation Model Hat failed, and Coco returned to Paris, and it is unknown if Churchill ever received Coco's letter. So that's like the most damning piece of evidence that like kind of confirms that at least for this thing, she explicitly was aware of the information that she was providing to the Nazis and stuff, and she was like colluding on their behalf. Everything else, there is still like a level of plausible deniability, but like it's certainly
But doesn't
like
the plausibility, the plausible deniability kind of go away if there is like this more hard, like
you can't
like evidence here, like
to be like
she was
everything
aware.
else
Yeah,
has plausible
she was aware that
deniability.
that
It's
Spaatz
sort of
was
like,
working with the
well,
Nazis.
We don't know if we killed
Yeah.
him. Like, there's a body,
Yeah,
but we don't know who did it. And sure, you're holding the gun that killed him, but like, and I saw you
Yeah.
do it. It's like at some point, like I get what you're saying. It's like Chanel.
if
has
we're talking about
plausible
legal
Yeah,
proceedings.
Yeah.
I see it, but it's just kind of like, well, I don't know if the Nazi shoe fits.
Maybe she wasn't like
yeah.
Hitler's bestie, and like that's a
Right.
possibility.
She definitely
but-
colluded
Yeah.
in this one way, but in this other way, we're not so sure. And it's
Mhm.
like, okay, sure.
I mean, like,
Exactly.
either way,
Exactly.
Stick her down well. like, like I'm not holding any water for this woman, but you know what I mean? Like,
Push her in the ocean, make her find her emerald.
Exactly.
yeah, throw her in the ocean like a chunky emerald. Throw her in the ocean.
Just plunge in that ocean sea.
Go deeper, baby.
Stick that long, lanky woman's body down there.
That neck of hers, she'd be going places.
Oh no, not going places.
I just know her glug glug game was
Oh,
top
absolutely. She doesn't
tier.
even need to glug.
S tier.
She is
She
just like,
doesn't.
I bet she looked like one of those sword swallowers.
She's just baby
It's just
bird.
like, she just relaxes the whole throat and it just goes all the way
not
back.
Coco, Von Whore, human fleshlight Chanel.
The funniest thing is, like, unlike Nancy Reagan, I think if Coco Chanel could hear our glug glug jokes about her, she'd probably
would be
think we were
dying.
fucking hilarious.
Right?
She'd
be like,
these
they're-
stupid, jealous bitches who wish they could be me. They never will be. They're so
This is so
charming.
charming.
They're so charming. Those disgusting deviant queers
Oh.
and hoots.
Okay, but I kind of want a shirt that says "They're so charming." Like I feel
In the
like
Chanel
that is
font.
good merch. Yes, they're
Yeah.
so charming.
With
Yes.
interlocking
Okay.
C's on the charming.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my. Okay. This
Yes.
isn't going to be one of those things that I let us forget. I'm writing it down right now.
It's also going to be in the episode.
No, but I need this now. You see.
Did we ever start a spreadsheet of like shirts that we keep suggesting?
No,
We
because
really
we're
need to
garbage
sell
people.
merch.
You probably
We're
should
bad
at
at our
some point.
jobs. He was like,
Yeah.
dear listeners, if you're listening to this and then you're going backwards, can you just tweet us all of the shirts that we said that we wanted?
Can you do our job
Yes,
for
please.
us?
Thank
you. But still pay us over on patreon.com/respect the dead.
We have a $70 tier that allows you to do unpaid labor for us.
In the spirit of Chanel.
You're welcome.
Following the liberation of Paris in August of 1944, 20,000 women accused of collaboration horizontale, or having sexual relationships with German occupation forces were dragged into the streets and had their heads forcibly shaved. I've just sent it a photo.
Just shaved?
There's thousands of these photos. I mean, I think some of them were beaten. Probably a lot of them were also raped.
Okay.
And
well,
probably a lot of them
worse.
accused of horizontal collaboration
were assaulted.
were also rape victims. Yeah. A few of the women would actually have the swastika branded into their flesh.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Inglourious Bastards. Yeah.
Never seen
And it, as I was kind of alluding to, it should be noted that many of these women actually did not engage in sexual or romantic relationships with German officers. Some of them merely provided professional services, like working as laundry women and that kind of thing. And others were falsely accused. I mean, it was like a very good way to level any retribution at people, get back at people.
I hate my ex, so I might as well
say she fucked a German. Yeah. And presumably, some of them did not willingly have sexual relationships with German officers, as is the nature of war. Civilian collaborators who were not horizontal collaborators, including physicians who treated occupation forces, were shot on sight. It was referred to at the time as a purge or a purification. Within days of the last German troops evacuating Paris, Coco Chanel hurried to give bottles of Chanel No. 5 to American GIs. Just handing them out.
Don't kill me. Doesn't this smell so good?
Oh my God, thank you for being here. Here you go. Give these to your girlfriend.
Oh my God, thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much for coming. You saved us all.
Thank you so much. Thank you for coming here, you hunky Americans.
Yeah, running out of
my bad French accent.
We're all doing bad French accents here. It's okay to be racist against the French. Just like running out of the Ritz to like hand GIs perfume bottles.
Here you go.
But like again,
while people
iconic.
haven't eaten bread in like 8 months.
I just imagine them like hallucinating, thinking it's an apple and starting to eat it.
I just see her like stepping over the people on the street that are like like lying there, just like skipping over bodies to be like, oh hey, have you ever smelled my delicious perfume?
I've read Barry Paris's biography of Audrey Hepburn because I think she's like a fascinating woman and this period of her life is so fascinating. And she was in Holland at this time. The Low Countries were also occupied. And to be fair, they had a famine. But in addition to the 6-month famine, they were also like doing like the rationing and stuff that was happening in Paris. Like in Paris, people were starving too. And her description of war is like, I think it's called edema, like when you start filling with fluid because you've been starving so much. Yeah. And she was describing this like when she was 16 and she was like, it started at my ankles and it started traveling up to my knees and everybody told me if it gets to your heart you die. And she was like, I would just spend all day laying in bed because I couldn't move anywhere. And it's like contrasting like that with this bitch who's been living at the Ritz. Like
at the Ritz.
In my mind is just like it's blowing my fucking mind. Chanel was quickly arrested by members of the Free French Purge Committee, who Chanel called the Fifis.
That's a slur. Like she meant it as a slur.
That she absolutely did. She did.
The Fifis.
1,000%. The Fifis.
They were also popularly known as the, again, I'm going to say things wrong, épuration, the purification. Because I mean they were killing people, they were executing people. Yeah. Some rightly so, and others not so much. She was taken in for questioning about her relationship with von Dinklage and the Gestapo, but she was released within a few hours, following her good friend Winston Churchill's intervention.
Oh fuck!
Churchill called up and he was like, "Let my girl go." Again, there are no heroes. There are no heroes.
Go. Who the fuck do you think makes my hats?
Exactly. In addition to the nepotism, to just being that charming sportswoman that he couldn't stop fucking writing home to his wife about, it was believed that if she talked, Coco would also expose and implicate high-ranking British officials and members of the royal family, such as her close friend and sometimes lover, the former King Edward VIII. He and his wife, Wallis Warfield Simpson, were dedicated Nazis.
Ooh.
And here, I'm going to send you a video of the young future Elizabeth II doing a Roman salute, the Nazi salute, in 1933 in Balmoral with her sister Margaret, Queen Elizabeth II. Sorry, her sister Margaret, her mother, the Queen Mother Elizabeth, and the Prince Edward. Oh, wait, no, I can't remember if he had already abdicated at that time. Anyway, I'm going to send you a video right now.
Oh, yep, there she is. Oh, they're all doing it.
They're all doing it.
And they're just doing it a lot.
Just over and over again.
She's just oh my God.
She's frolicking.
Okay, I gotta
She's
stop.
doing a Nazi salute. And that's what he was trying to do before he blessedly abdicated to marry Wallis Warfield Simpson. And then he and Wallis just like traveled Europe for the next several decades, being racist alcoholics until they died. He's got to be an episode too someday.
Yeah.
So Coco left the country immediately for neutral Switzerland, where she remained in semi-exile until 1953. In 1947, the Wertheimers, ever magnanimous for some fucking reason, renegotiated their 1924 contract on Chanel No. 5 with Coco Chanel. In addition to paying her wartime back pay equivalent to around $12 million in 2022 money, they gave her 2% of all Coco Chanel No. 5 sales worldwide, grossing her around $34 million a year
Jesus.
in 2022 money.
Jesus.
Even fucking weirder, because like the Wertheimers knew that she tried to fuck them over during the war.
Yeah.
But still came back and did that. And even fucking weirder, as part of this renegotiation, Pierre Wertheimer agreed at Coco's suggestion to pay all of Coco's living expenses from the trivial to the large for the rest of her life.
What the fuck?
So he was paying for her lifestyle and then giving her money on top of that.
What the fuck?
For the rest of her life. And he was like,
Okay.
I just like, she had to be really charming.
Charming as a gay.
Like, there had to be something
Must
about
have
her.
been, yeah.
There's something about her. Like, she could just like talk men into doing everything for her. And she did her entire fucking life. And she became one of the richest women alive by doing it.
Like, Jesus. Like, yeah, if she hadn't had support from other people, she would have been a street rat. Like my friend Aladdin. Like,
yep.
There's no, like, she didn't have any, there was no like nepotism in her family. Everybody was like poor as fuck.
No.
This is, her entire life.
In a sense, she was a self-made woman.
Defined,
but
yes.
like the work that she did was fucking her way to the top. Which I support.
Right.
I think that is valid work.
Like,
I think that's valid
I'm sorry,
work.
but it's still,
It is.
Spending time with rich men,
labor.
that's hard
like,
work.
Like literal emotional labor.
that
Like
is.
what the
It
term
is
is
emotional
originally
labor.
supposed to mean. Like smiling and laughing and
Yeah.
putting up with that garbage so that you can start your own hattier or whatever the fuck it's called. A hattery.
Yeah. And then she was very good at it. Like,
well, yeah, if she had no talent and she had no style, this wouldn't have gotten
No, but
off
she
the
did have
ground,
talent.
right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she had the talent and the style, and then she got the money to make it happen.
Exactly. Yeah. By fucking her way to the top, as we all should.
As you do, as you should, and as I hope one day I
As
can.
is her right.
The poor man's nepotism.
I'm like, who do I gotta fuck around here to make enough money on Patreon to be able to get a hot tub?
In 1953, at the age of 70, Coco decided to revive her couture house in Paris after shuttering it 14 years prior. It was again Pierre Wertheimer who fully financed her return to Paris. Her comeback collection, I just don't get it. Like, I don't get it.
I don't get
she
it
wasn't
either,
even
but-
fucking him. But
Like-
I guess, like, she had to be so charming. Like,
She must
Maybe
have
he was
been.
gay.
Yeah.
maybe.
And he was therefore obsessed with
Maybe,
her.
yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe that's why she was so, like, horrible towards him. It wasn't
it's all
even
falling into place. The solution to everything is that these people are gay. Like everything that comes
Everyone
up,
in
it's
Paris
like,
in the
okay, no.
30s.
Based on her like her internal logic of how the world works, everyone that's like a sycophant who sucks up to her is just some queer who loves her.
Her comeback collection was received icily by the French, who had not yet forgotten her associations with Dinklager, but was very well received by the American and British press. So here's a picture of Chanel watching her collection being shown from a staircase. And next,
Oh, man, she still looks amazing.
she looks incredible.
I fucking hate her.
And next, I'm going to show you
the angle on this
look at
photo.
that.
Like
it's so artistic.
Like, the composition of it, the like mirrors in the back.
It's such a good picture.
It's very like German expressionist. Like
Mandy, you're so smart. I don't know any
German expressionist.
I
The
could
only
not be
reason
like,
why I
German
remember
expressionist.
the only reason I know that phrase is because of researching Hitchcock.
She just did a
okay.
Hitchcock episode.
So I just did the Hitchcock episode, so that's why that's still
true.
fresh in my head.
Okay,
I remember a little bit about what that is.
Hitchcockian.
Hitchcock.
Yes.
Well, we know that Chanel loves
Like-
some Germans. So the next picture I'm going to send is a couple of years later, but it's a model in a Chanel suit in 1955.
This looks fucking amazing.
I love it so much.
Oh, okay, there it is. Oh, yeah, that's nice.
So she was very famous for her suits. She actually, the first Chanel suit was like created in the 1920s, but like these late 50s into 60s suits after the comeback are basically still made today. Like you'll see women walking around in these kind of suits today.
Oh yeah, no, it would still look amazing.
Yeah,
like
and this
literally
like
right now.
going back to like her roots, like this kind of tweed suit that she created was like made out of tweed that she saw people wearing like hunting up in Scotland. Like, so it was very much like based on sportswear. And also in the 1950s when she came back, she made like she was trying to rebel against Christian Dior's new look, which Christian Dior came on the scene in the 40s and like created what was called the new look, which was like these tailored suits with like very drawn in waists and like peplum, and like it was like very stiff. And she was like, fuck this, like we're going back to fucking corsets again, basically. Like fuck that, I'm gonna create like a functional, nice, clean line suit that women can wear to like events or work. I guess they weren't really working, and look professional, but like still be able to move. So like it was very much like still a throwback to her earlier days. So her career continued to flourish over the next 2 decades, and Coco continued to work hard throughout her 70s and into her 80s. Marilyn Monroe quipped that she only wore Chanel No. 5 to bed. First Lady Jackie Kennedy maintained a wardrobe almost exclusively of Chanel suits and pillbox hats, which pillbox hats were something that like I have read conflicting things, but Chanel may or may not have invented in the 1920s. But Jackie Kennedy, like when you think of Jackie Kennedy, you imagine her in a Chanel suit and a pillbox hat. And she infamously wore a pink Chanel suit on the afternoon of JFK's assassination. Steadily, Coco Chanel reestablished herself as France's first lady of fashion, but she spent her final years very lonely and bitter in spite of her success. Like she was somebody who always like avoided getting married, but she always wanted to be loved, and she always like sought that out, and she always wanted to be with somebody, and it never quite worked out for her. Or when a relationship seemed to be working out, he died.
Yeah, that's so fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to like feel bad for her, but like that would fuck you up so much.
It is sad. It's like very lonely and bitter in spite of her success. And she once said to a friend, "There is nothing worse than solitude. Solitude can help a man realize himself, but it destroys a woman."
Specific, but
It sounds like Chanel was going through some stuff.
Yeah, she was.
1935, her morphine addiction had also reached fairly critical levels, and for the last 4 decades of her life, she couldn't get to sleep each night without nightly injections of morphine. So she was just like always on horse. 27, she was still carrying on designing collection after collection, but her health was ailing. Age and morphine. She did not take care of her body, and drinking.
Yeah, I
can't believe this bitch made it this long and also looked this young.
I'm like, how is this bitch not dying in her sleep? It's like, oh, I just have a little morphine before bed, so I can sleep. And I'm like, are you getting so fucked up and then just being like, good night?
Like worrying about the damage that I'm doing to my body if I take like a melatonin with a Benadryl. January 9th, 1971, Coco Chanel went for a long drive, after which she started feeling ill. She retired to bed early that evening and passed away on Sunday, January 10th, 1971. Her last words to her maid, Celine, were, "You see, this is how you die." She had to go out being iconic.
Damn it!
Damn it!
Oh.
She just had to be so good.
She did.
Such a good line.
It. That's a line to go out on.
She knew she was going, and that fucking stubborn bitch was like, I have to die tonight because I've just said this fucking banger.
Right. Pure will.
Down the stairs if I had to.
Well, obviously I have to die now.
Up in the morning, I am slitting my fucking wrists. Actually, no, she had morphine.
Just turning over face down on the pillow and just being like, that's it. Okay, This Is How I Die, or This Is How You Die is also a really good t-shirt.
How you die.
But I'm like, we can't have too many shirts with slogans from Nazis on them.
So good.
just the one.
She had so many good bangers.
Oh, fuck off.
Fuck. In Paris, she was laid to rest in Bois de Vaux Cemetery, Lausanne, Switzerland. And just at the end here, I want to kind of quote from an article by John MacDonald in the Sydney Morning Herald that kind of, I don't know, it just spoke to me. Her extraordinary career was built on paradoxes. She used artifice to probe fundamental truths about human nature. She conquered the wealthy with a willfully impoverished style and sold timeless elegance to the middle classes. Her success was an act of class revenge, her self-confidence a weapon that floored her competitors and her admirers. End quote. Bonheur Chanel once said of herself, "But I have chosen the person I want to be and am. Too bad if I am disliked and unpleasant."
And Zinzi.
Finn.
Damn.
It's like if you don't like me, that's fine. If you don't like me at my Nazi, you don't deserve me at my mom.
Literally that quote that's always like misattributed to Marilyn Monroe, like Coco Chanel kind of said it. And also it's like kind of true. Like, not if you don't like me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best, but she's like, too bad if I'm disliked and unpleasant. Like, she didn't give a fuck.
And yeah, like, it's interesting that, like, I think this is the person I've liked the most out of everyone we've
most
talked
reprehensible.
About. And she,
yeah,
one of the most
like
reprehensible.
Worst,
yeah,
but the most.
Like, if it weren't for the whole Nazi bit, she would. I mean, obviously the homophobia, whether or not that was real homophobia or her like joking with her friends or whatever the fuck it was.
I'm like
and the anti-Semitism, obviously not okay. But like, there is a part of me that still really likes her, and I hate it. I don't like
the homophobia.
I don't want to like any of these people.
Back to a little homophobia.
Me of that homophobic alien worm from the last Star Wars movie that like every gay person started standing. Do you remember that? There was like
what?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh God, this is a thing on the internet. Like, so Disney like made a big deal about like the last Star Wars. They were like, we have a lesbian kiss in this Star Wars, and it's a big deal. And it like ended up being like, if you blink and you miss it, like the cut was.
It's like two background characters that I don't think one of them has a name. They just literally kiss in the background, and it's.
So if you go back and watch,
and it's something that they can easily edit out for the Chinese audiences.
And if you go back and watch that, like they immediately cut to like a big alien worm puppet that is
yes,
like
I heard of this.
the look on its face, like it looks like it's fucking disgusted by these queers. And
Oh,
like
I don't remember that.
put a couple of fucking pearls on that alien Coco motherfucking Chanel.
Is it this bitch?
Yes. Look at her. Look at her.
I literally don't remember
She's
this
like,
at
oh my
all.
God.
I cannot stand these queers.
This at all.
And gay Twitter was like, yes, homophobic worm. As we would be about Chanel. Coco Chanel would have been such a good judge on Drag Race. Like if she lived long enough, she would have been so mean and it would have been so funny.
This is okay, well, no, because she's a Nazi, but I'm like, this is can we steal all the good parts of her life and use it to write a screenplay about someone completely different who wasn't a fucking Nazi?
Amen.
Momo Michelle instead, or something.
Not Momo Michelle.
Momo Michelle.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Just write a screenplay about Coco Chanel and we show her burning in hell at the end.
It's like a screenplay like narrated by her in hell. Like it starts off with
In
her in
hell.
hell explaining like okay, and this is where I went wrong.
She's like,
I'd be wondering
And it
how I
does
got here.
it like freeze frames and does that right as like someone's shoving something up her ass.
Some demons like spraying Chanel No. 5 in her eyes.
That is an iconic moment.
Mid grimace.
Using Chanel No. 5 as like pepper spray.
Right.
I'm doing that at the next protest I go to.
For my family. It's like what were you planning on using this for? It's like smelling fucking amazing. What do you think?
For my family.
This Chanel No. 5 for my family. I'm putting that in
We
this
all share this,
document.
Chanel
officer.
No. 5 for my family.
So I have a tote bag. That is the Campbell's soup can, and then it says "soup for my family" on it. I really want one that says Chanel No. 5 for my family, but like maybe with like a tiny little,
Really,
like a little
like-
Molotov cocktail with like a tiny little cloth coming out of the top.
That's
on fire.
adorable. Really,
You
like
love that.
reclaiming
Yes.
champagne socialist as like a pejorative term. Like,
Absolutely. That slur.
like, yes, I am a champagne socialist. I would like to redistribute the champagne. Chanel No. 5 for my family. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Respect the Dead. You can follow Respect the Dead on Instagram and Twitter at _Respect the Dead.
If you want to follow us individually, you can find our socials in the show notes. And you should check out our YouTube channels. We don't shit on dead people there as often, but still, we're making tons of cool stuff.
If you enjoyed Respect the Dead and would like to support us, there's a couple of ways to do that.
You can give us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you found us. If you leave us a review, we can read it out on the podcast. Reviews are the best way for new listeners to discover the show. Give us at least 5 stars and then share us with a good friend who likes venting about dead people.
You can also give us some money over on our Patreon. Patreon supporters get some cool bonus content like bloopers from the cutting room floor and even coming up with a fake sponsor ad that we'll read in an episode. It has to be a fake business though, not your MLM Henny.
Thanks so much for listening. Join us every Monday for our next Worm Feast.
I'm Kellen Conrad.
I'm mainly Mandy.
And I'm Hoots. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.